Previously in X-Men, the newly configured team of Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde as the young trainee, taking on the name Sprite, and the veteran Angel returns. They are training, reconfiguring, and Nightcrawler and Wolverine have gone off to join members of Alpha Flight on a special mission north of the border to capture the cannibalistic mystical beast known as Wendigo? Wendigo? Wendigo.
When I go.
And that takes us all the way up to Uncanny X-Men 140 by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Terry Austin, and company. Oh, Chris, what do you got there besides a fancy new haircut?
Buddy, I got the there it is.
Beautiful.
X-Men Alpha Flight Omnibus. There it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is quite nice. And there you go. There's your issue right there.
Nice. I got my OG copy from childhood.
Very cool. Very cool.
Which I bought as a back issue. And of course, I'm still reading in volume 2 of the Essential X-Men, which takes us to the thesis of the show, which I usually would have said off the top.
Which is?
This show, the central premise here is that the issues that we're covering are so important to the idea of what the X-Men are, to the concept of the X-Men, that Marvel themselves deemed these issues the essential X-Men. It doesn't start with issue 1 of the series back in 1960, whatever. It starts in 1975 with Giant Size number 1. And we've been reading from Giant Size number 1 on because these are the issues that really create the foundation for which the entire franchise of the X-Men is built upon. And that's a dangling participle for you guys out there. And that means that I must be Jason Lapidus, and you must be
the clone of Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics, and we're very happy to hang with you tonight and talk X-Men comics, X-Men animated series, X-Men action figures, and X-Men movies, and the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hey, Trevor, 1-6 shooter. How you doing, man? How was... I have to admit, I haven't been following. Did you go to New York Comic Con? I think you did.
I think you did.
How was it?
Good.
It might be in my subconscious that you went, so I hope you had a great time. And I'm glad that you were back with us to hang out on a Tuesday night. Yeah, these issues, like everything good that ever happened in X-Men, you can trace something back to either the characters that are on this team or a reference that was made or a dynamic that is put in place or an art style or a rendering of the character, or like, you know, the way they look. Hey, David Cutler, speaking of people who render X-Men, how are you, man? I hope you're doing really well. I've been following you on social media too. So it's been nice to see you posting some work there. And I'm always digging all the stuff you've been posting. So thank you for doing that. Nice to have you here tonight. And I think about you a lot in that I'm weird that way. No, I think about when I form my opinions or when I vocalize articulate my opinions. I love that you and I don't see eye to eye on like what we value in some of the X-Men character portrayals or which runs we like better, or, you know, we have a good difference of opinion about the animated series. And I really like how you have a rational, like a reasonable take on things that is different than mine. And I'm glad that you're here to hang with us, and you bring so much insight and passion to these characters. Whereas Trevor and I seem to be aligned, and it's fun, you know, when you get people that have different opinions, and it's like collegiate, you know, or collegial, or I don't know, however you want to say. You know what I'm saying?
Just the animated series.
No, I don't know. I think you like different characters than me too. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, we also disagreed about that Harry Potter thing. You and Jason were saying, Jason Lowe and you were saying that you thought that Harry Potter could play.
Dan Radcliffe.
I'm like, nah.
Brain, that's right.
So maybe just those two things. Everything else.
You know, they did just today, unless I'm incorrect, but I believe as they shuffled the dates of the upcoming MCU films that was released today, there was an unnamed Marvel movie, I think somewhere in there.
Really?
I believe so. Now, that could have just me picking that up on Instagram and it not being sourced, but when I saw it, I thought unnamed Marvel movie. And I thought X-Men show tonight. And I thought X-Men.
I hope so.
Here we go.
I'm glad to hear it was better than last year. That's cool, man. And yeah,
Harry Potter.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. I think about it every day how they're going to start the X-Men. You know, like we just saw, not to spoil for anyone else, but Daredevil joined the MCU. Not just Matt Murdock. I get what you're saying, but we had Daredevil on She-Hulk last week. And to see like a flippy CGI, acrobatic Daredevil was like a neat take, given that we've seen the early 2000s version, of those movies or that movie. And then we've seen a gritty, realistic-ish version on the Netflix series. So yeah, let's get a superhero version now.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun to see him be happy and a little quippy.
Levity.
Yeah, bring some levity, bring some raw sexual magnetism.
Suit looked good too.
The ketchup and mustard.
The ketchup and mustard, exactly.
And yeah, the acrobatic flips, the superhuman side of it was there. We were in full flight, which was neat to see.
Yeah, no, this is not a Daredevil appreciation show. It could turn into one easily with both you and I here. But yes, all to say, cool to see how, and with the X-Men piece, again, bringing those characters, we've seen various incarnations of them. But the MCU has its own template, its own vibe, its own, all of it. And so, be interesting seeing how they bring those characters in a proper X-Men or X-verse or X-universe film that's not just a cameo here and there. So
yeah, I mean they really are the modern cornerstone of the MC or of the Marvel comics. Since the 80s, since this run we're reading, they become the front piece, like the main series kind of in Marvel, that people coming from outside of comics are coming in to find X-Men comics. They're not coming in to find FF or coming in to find, they're still going to always go after Spidey. But as in terms of team books, the Avengers were like third, fourth on the list. And it really was all about the X-Men. I can't help but want to talk about what David just said. I'm sure the end of his happiness is coming in Born Again, which is the title for the series on Disney Plus for Daredevil. You got to be up before the Kingpin can bring you down. For sure. I'm a big fan of Miller and Mazzucchelli's Born Again. That's like a seminal work for me. So I'm excited to see what they pull from it and what they don't. Because some elements, of course, were used in Daredevil season 3.
You saw it.
So I'm excited to see what they do, for sure. As I'm sure everyone else is.
And like Charlie Cox, actor, Matt Murdock, Daredevil in suit, whatever, has been great in that role since day one. And to have him continue in the role is, similar conversation with, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, like fantastic in the role since day one. And we're going to get him again. Right? Like it's very cool.
Wild.
Very cool.
Yeah. David says, if you told me the biggest Marvel franchise in 2020 would be the Avengers, I'd have died laughing. And it still isn't in comics, right? I mean, there's not the biggest franchise in comics, but in the
MCU,
internationally, in pop culture, by far. One of the neat things, tying this back to what we're doing today, we're also looking at not only Uncanny X-Men issue 140, but it is Classic X-Men issue, I've already forgotten, 45 or 46.
Could be.
And
I think it is. Yeah.
And it's the first one I don't have.
Interesting.
And
you have everything up to that point.
I have everything up to this point in Classic X-Men. And this is now the first issue where it's no longer called Classic X-Men. It's called X-Men Classic.
Really?
Yes, sir. And the reason they changed it was it made no sense at the editorial level that they would have the name X-Men not be the first word.
It is 100% number 46.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Like someone at senior editorial was like, no, the brand is X-Men for all these X-Men titles. So if we're going to have a second X-Men title, it should be X-Men Classic, not Classic X-Men. And think about Coke Classic, right? Like,
right.
It works. Yeah, and by the way, in the indicia in this issue, like we were saying last week or 2 weeks ago with David, this issue in indicia, it's still called X-Men. It's not called Uncanny, which I find really funny. It's just called The X-Men, Volume 1, number 140.
There you go.
December 1980.
This is and then again, the release date of the X-Men Classic is April 1990. So there's your 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is something else, right?
This is the month that John Lennon was killed. Just putting that out there. I don't know. The month and year, right? That's his December 1980. Comes to mind because I was conscious of it at the time. And so, yeah, reading X-Men, reading Alpha Flight, listen to Beatles. Those are like big things for me. Anyway, there we go. Take a quick look at maybe at the original cover art.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to actually go.
Ooh, look at that.
If I can get a better view on that. But that is from Marvel Covers, Artist Edition from IDW. Mm-hmm. And it's neat. I think a couple features. I like to see Austin's like interesting rendering of these crosshatchy things back there. I can move that. Go in.
Like
you can really see everything. You can see how like just that white line there for his arm.
Yeah. You can actually see how Wendigo's claws are in Wolverine's leg. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's more than a grip. It's a hold anchored by his incredibly large.
Take a look. Hold on.
The tail?
At this amazing baby hand.
Oh, the baby hand.
Byrne and children. Yeah, Byrne does not draw great children.
No. And of course, we have the a classic horror comic or horror image.
Oh yeah.
With the tattered clothes of the damsel in distress with the monster almost upon her.
Right? You can see the white out there.
See the white out there, yeah.
I wonder if it was just more fur detail or if like the tail was going in a different direction at some point or who knows what. Yeah, total horror stuff.
So Wendigo is huge.
He is for this panel, for this
thing is just huge.
And then like to make it look like it's in the stone carved in.
Yeah.
It's not just signatures, it's like modified. Sorry, it's just shaking here.
Yeah, it's almost like a rune.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And then the other spot you see a lot of like white out. See how on these motion lines there are those black lines, like this piece, and those two.
Yeah.
So normally you'd see like white out there to separate them, like you do here. Oof. See on Wolverine, there's like a break in the black line. I don't know if you can see it. There's like. See how the line going across breaks with white?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see that. I can see it on the screen, but
maybe.
Anyway, it's like a little dab of that white paint. And there's lots of white in the arm here too. Really neat to see. Super cool. And look at all that body hair.
Oh, so much.
It's also, I always find it really fascinating how these guys, they know exactly how much of this page they need to fill and then how much they got to leave blank.
That is
like that top third, you just leave it out.
Wow.
Awesome.
Totally awesome.
Neat. Okay, I'm getting rid of that. And I can put this phone away.
Totally awesome. I think what one lament about this issue, and it's no spoiler, but of the characters involved in this issue, we don't every time we see a big guy like Wendigo, you also kind of want to match him up against the X-Men's big guy, and not strong guy against Colossus, and you get a you get a little bit. You kind of wish there's a bit of you always. I always want to see Colossus go up against the biggest.
For sure, and that's one of the things that we talked about last episode was that the pairings, right?
Yeah.
Like Sasquatch and Colossus aren't here.
I know,
which kind of adds to.
Well, and I don't know if they talked about it in the previous issue or it's just something that comes up and we'll talk about in this issue, but they reference that the other characters talk about kind of how maybe outmatched they might be because they're just kind of like our heavy hitters aren't here. It's just us, which is ridiculous when one of them's Wolverine, one of them is Vindicator, who is like a crazy superpower suit.
Yes.
Right? Nightcrawler, fine, but Snowbird being a demigod or whatever, we're outmatched. You're like, all right, okay, that means the threats.
They are. Wendigo's that powerful.
Wendigo is that powerful.
I like that idea. I like the stakes feel high.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the last issue, Nightcrawler is basically surprised. He's ambushed by the predatorial Wendigo, and the other members of the. Would you call that like an ad hoc squad?
Sure.
Like they're just put together. They haven't trained for this or planned for this. But Wolverine and Nightcrawler have joined Shaman, Snowbird, and Vindicator on their hunt of Wendigo in the Canadian wilderness. But they didn't plan for it. It wasn't like an intentional thing. So anyway,
but I like that because it speaks to the pre-origins of Alpha Flight as a team. Because there's these characters, we're aware of them, some of them have powers, we're trying to organize them in some facet. We can get a couple of them together as per a government call, like what I mean, like it's a real, they start from nothing.
Yeah,
they really do. Anyway,
David says Nightcrawler, Wendy, go to Canada. Adorable.
Doing this shit.
If you're asking seriously, like if you don't know the last issue 139, then I'm happy to just let you know. Wolverine basically says he's going up to Canada to check in with. I actually don't remember.
He goes because he doesn't. He wants to.
Oh, he wants to make peace.
He wants to formally resign.
Right, and he wants to sort of just put things on even terms with Vindicator. And Nightcrawler agrees to accompany him to kind of just, make sure everything goes well.
Keep him out of trouble.
And they go to Ottawa and they run into Heather McNeil Hudson. And it's like great because it reveals, his name being Logan. And there's all sorts of sort of personal sides to him that come out in the last issue. Okay, you're just having some fun. Cool.
I've read many times.
Good. I'm glad you have because it's fun reading, especially as a Canadian having, action happening up in Canada.
Yeah.
It's also just neat to see on this cover, by the way. Like, look at the color of Wolverine's boots, and then look at the color of Vindicator's suit. So his boots are not brown. Like that's pure red.
Right.
That is 100% magenta and 100% yellow. So that's a pure red color. I like him in the red and orange. I think it looks really cool as opposed to, brown and orange or brown to tan as it's often called. I think this looks really neat in red. If it had gone brown, I bet you it would be really dull looking on this particular cover. But in red, it looks really cool. Anyway.
I love the issue of this title too. Fisting with the Wendigo. Oh, sorry.
Savage.
With the Savage Fury.
Savage fisting with Wendigo.
Savage fisting with Wendigo. Is that the title that you put on this episode when it goes live on YouTube so people can find it for us?
Oh no.
No, don't do that.
Oh no.
That's not the kind of likes and followers we want, or is it?
Well, I'll take what I can get.
Take the numbers up.
All right. So let's get into this.
Okay.
Let's get into the rage.
All right,
also pointing out, like we did last time, that inside this issue, the credits are Chris Claremont as writer, John Byrne is on plot and pencils.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you, I had this game.
Wildfire, you had that game?
I have not thought about that in ages. Oh my god! And of course, Terry Austin on inks. But what this means to me is just that, as we talked about, that Byrne has the story in mind and kind of brings it to Claremont. And Claremont then, fills in all these yellow boxes. But But Byrne has a story, and this is why it's so Wolverine focused and so Canadian focused in Alpha Flight. I mean, Alpha Flight is a pure spinoff of this issue and the previous issue. So it's kind of neat to see X-Men through a more Byrnish lens.
And I wonder too. I know that we are getting close to the finale of the Byrne Claremont run, right? Exactly. And you wonder, if Byrne is bringing more ideas, plotting ideas to Claremont. Claremont's, he's like, I mean, I wonder if that's part of the, I don't know, part of the reasoning why they stop a little bit, right? Maybe
100%.
Claremont wants to move on, Byrne wants to move on, but it's interesting because at some point, Claremont's probably, I'll put some words in the story, but he's like, God, the guy keeps like taking issues,
right?
To some degree.
And they don't agree on everything. Like they both, you and I know, and of course, the guys in the chat know too, there are multiple ways to achieve a successful story.
Sure.
There isn't one path to it. There are different approaches to coloring this page that would work just as well. So when these guys have their opinions, they both feel like they're right. It seems like through interviews that I've read and watched. And then, of course, conjecture and imprinting some of my own experiences onto it. They both feel like they're right, and they both are. And they don't have as much invested in their collaboration as they do in their own ego and success. Right. So Byrne's like, hold on, I can script, I can plot, I can do all this. I don't really need Claremont. He's throwing me a bone, letting me do a little bit of the writing. But I could be in this world where they're going. They get to their income is limited, right? Mm-hmm. I have mustache hair in my in my mouth. What's the word? The royalty program I don't think is in place yet. The Jim Shooter installed at Marvel, so they're not making a ton of money off how many get sold. They're just getting their page rate, I think, at this point. So having whatever percentage go to Claremont or whatever percentage go to Byrne, and they're now fighting over the writer role and who's sort of going to have a hand on the wheel. So they're kind of this room for both of them, right? If they had peace about it and they're like, okay, let's split this. Maybe I plot 20% and you plot 80%, and you also get to write all these other stories. You get to write New Mutants, you get to write the Wolverine Limited series, like all these other things. So you're getting enough writing, and I'm getting a little bit more income because drawing these pages is, you know what it is. So if they had some kind of personal agreement that they could have, sustained it longer, but it ran its course, and they're going full tilt. So Byrne is going to leave this and go over to control the Fantastic Four. He's going to write and draw and get to do it his own way and not have to worry about dealing with another ego and different creative vision. And it just means we get these issues from 108 to 143, and that's all we get with these two guys. And it's awesome while it lasts. And I'm looking forward to
so awesome that there is a YouTube show dedicated.
Well, I'm really excited that you and I are going to tread into new waters, because after the Byrne run, I stopped reading.
Right.
So I haven't read the issues up until a certain point.
Okay.
So we're gonna go into
that is cool.
Fresh waters. All right. Rage. How much rage are you feeling about this page?
Oh man, well, rage about that ripped tank top he's got. I mean, that's just.
So if we get to sort of skip over the verbosity here, we've got obviously Colossus is clearing some land, and he's able to reflect back on his life living in communist Russia and Soviet Union in Siberia, where he was a farmer, a very humble servant of the state, and a committed family member and community member. Neat to see.
Totally.
Beautiful. And he's fighting a very determined tree stump.
He is. Did you want me to read?
Please, feel free.
All right. All right. By Lenin, either my heart will burst and my steel body crack, or I will pull you free. There are easier ways to clear a hectare of land. but few more satisfying.
Do you want to read Angel as well, or do you want me to do it?
I'm just trying to think, looking at it like that. You do Angel, and then I'll do.
Enjoying yourself, Peter.
Angel, strange as it sounds, Tovarash, I am. It has been too long since I got my hands dirty doing the work I was born to do.
You sound homesick. Do you wish you'd stayed a farmer?
Occasionally, but I know I cannot go back. As an X-Men, I have experienced so much, too much. My parents, my comrades would not understand.
I know the feeling. But if that's so, why all this work?
It relaxes me and reminds me that for all the vaunted power of Colossus, I am still nothing compared to the power and majesty of nature. I have beheld many wonders, Warren, yet few compare with the simple beauty of giving birth to a flower. I, I, I am sorry. I am not expressing my thoughts, my feelings well. I have not the words.
I think you do. I really think you have the words. I think you're doing a great job. Pal, Shakespeare couldn't have said it better.
Angel?
Whoops, gotta fly, Pete. I just got a telepathic call from Professor Xavier. Be seeing you. I've never met anyone quite like Peter. At first, I thought he was your basic dumb cluck country hick. But there is a lot more to him than meets the eye. In many ways, he's the most honest and honorable person I know.
So good.
So good.
So good.
You wanted me, Professor? Anything important?
Did you want me to do, Professor?
Sure.
Curiosity, Angel. I was wondering about your reactions to your fellow X-Men now that you've had a chance to work and train beside them.
No problems. Except for Wolverine. He's crazy, you know, and dangerous. Suppose he goes berserk in a fight and kills someone with those freaky claws of his.
I knew that when I invited him to join the X-Men, Warren. He has faults, yet for all of that, he is a good man. His potential as a leader, as a superhero, is extraordinary. All my adult life, I've tried to help mutants come to terms with themselves and society around them, to teach Homo sapiens and Homo superior to live together in peace and harmony, for better or worse. That includes Wolverine. I may fail, but I must at least make the attempt.
On that thoughtful note, let's shift our scene to the nearby town of Salem Center, where we find another of Xavier's students, Aurora, perhaps better known as Storm, newly appointed leader of the X-Men.
You got a preference?
I'll read Storm.
Sure. I'm going to play this one straight. Hey, Mama, wait up.
Oh, no, not him again. I beg your pardon.
Sweet thing, I am one fine dude, and you are one fine fox. This is one fine night. Let's say we make beautiful music together at Studio One, the hottest disco in New York.
Now, as before, I think not. Why won't you take no for an answer?
'Cause I'm in love with you, darling. Hey! I'm soaking wet. Where'd that storm come from?
Oh, call it magic. I love how you call that reading it straight. I mean, it's so hard not to just want to do Lando.
Oh, it's...
Or like an exaggeration of Lando, or like someone doing an impression of Lando.
Of course.
Yeah. She smiles, and as casually as she created the miniature thunder shower, Storm makes it go away. Ooh, the space stars. Look at that.
The space stars. Now, the Herculoids?
Yeah.
Wow. Team Force.
I know Team Force. It's so good. I've never seen that one, or at least I don't know of it. I had such such enthusiasm towards Blue Falcon and Dynamite.
So where are they?
Okay, top right corner.
Top right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's Godzilla and Godzuki.
Right. Who is Godzilla's kid?
Yes. And then the Batman character in blue next to Dynomutt, I believe he's called the Blue Falcon. And, for me, it was just another Batman analog. But I love his design. And,
that's a deep cut cosplay right there.
It's definitely
anyone out there listening,
generation
from Dynamite Hour.
Yeah, it's like Hanna-Barbera. And I don't think it's Toth, but it's like from that period where he'd be working there. Like Space Ghost is his.
Sure.
So much so that Space Ghost drawing is a replica of a Toth drawing.
Okay.
But Dynomutt. When I find a good action figure of Dynomutt, I'm probably gonna have to have it. I love this costume. Way too much. Way too much. All right. Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's not easy. A few minutes later, a few blocks further on, there's Kitty and her new dance teacher, Stevie Hunter. They seem to be getting along famously. That shouldn't bother me, but it does. I've been on edge since the moment we met. I keep telling myself such feelings are absurd. Stevie is one of the nicest women I've ever met, yet the feelings remain.
Hi, Aurora. Boy, you should have stuck around and watched the class. It was great.
Do Stevie too.
Our kitten has real talent, Aurora, once we smooth down her considerable rough edges.
Our kitten?
Can I interest you both in a bite to eat? After a day of teaching, budding Baryshnikovs and Makarovas, I'm famished.
Thank you, Stevie, but no. We must get back to the school.
Sorry, Stevie. Duty calls. See ya. Some other time, perhaps. For sure.
Kitty, what do you think you're doing flaunting your power like that? Suppose someone sees you.
I checked before I did it, Aurora. Nobody's around. I'm sorry. It's just that using my power, walking through solid objects, is fun.
I know, little one, but please be more careful.
Okay. Aurora, are you feeling all right? You're on an awfully short fuse all of a sudden. Is it me or...
Goddess, the child is perceptive. No, kitten, it's not you. I'm concerned for Wolverine and Nightcrawler. We've heard nothing from them since they left for Canada this morning. I love how they just call it Canada.
Yes. They've gone to Canada.
They've gone to Canada.
Canada.
I hope they haven't run into trouble. Before we go into the trouble, I always have such fun trying to imagine how Kitty's powers work.
Right.
So she's phasing through the car door, but what is her foot touching?
But stops at right. Like what's in phase and what's not in phase.
Yeah, can she phase one part of her body but not phase the other? And I as far as I remember it, when she turns on her phasing, she's able to kind of step on the air, and so she can like climb a flight of stairs out of air to go from a first story of a house to a second story of a house.
Okay.
So she could, if she decides to like have her foot face resistance and get leverage off where the floor would be in her mind, she could then kind of stand on the floor of the car, but while phasing through the door.
Right. And
then I guess she would turn it all off and kind of sit on her bum.
And maybe it's I mean early days for her yet, but maybe as she grows into her powers and we still kind of like what's phased, what's not. Maybe she can control parts of her body to be phased and other parts to not be phased, or to I don't know. I guess find that like solidify. I don't know. It's a strange one.
Well, I would imagine that David Cutler here has a very good sense of how her powers play out from writers now.
Calling David Cutler.
Whatever Claremont and Byrne envision at this time, which I would imagine it's more Claremont than Byrne with her, but that doesn't mean that other writers haven't interpreted it in a multitude of ways. Like, you know, she was on the Guardians of the Galaxy for a while.
No, I didn't know that.
Did you ever read Astonishing X-Men? The Joss Whedon, David Cassidy?
Yes, I did.
Or not David Cassidy, John Cassidy.
Yes, I did. The first 12 issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember how it ends with her?
When they go to space?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember how it ends with her. But I remember going to space because I remember a couple other things. That's it.
Okay, it basically ends with her being inside a bullet rocketing through space. Like it was going to destroy a planet, and she phased it as it passed through an entire planet.
Oh yes,
and she was then stuck on it, moving at an unbelievable trajectory.
Yeah, so she kind of sacrifices herself.
She sacrifices herself, but of course, eventually someone gets her out of there, and she's in deep space, and she meets up, and she joins the Guardians of the Galaxy and makes her way back to Earth eventually.
Oh, okay.
But she was on the Guardians, I think, at the same time. Maybe the Thing was.
Thing was on the Guardians?
Sure, why not, man? I mean, listen, once the Guardians becomes famous from the movies, you get to play around with who's on and who's not, and go on some adventures. Like Venom was on for a bit, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. It's lots of fun.
Speaking of movies,
the Guardians.
Speaking of movies, and speaking of comic books, Morbius is now on Amazon Prime. There you go. There's a hot tip for anyone out there.
So David says he doesn't think that her powers are terribly consistent in how they're being used by different writers over the decades. And I did start watching Morbius.
Of course you did.
Kind of for you, you know.
Right, because I will at some point watch it.
I thought you already did. No, you watched Venom 2.
Which one? Yeah, I saw Venom 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I started Morbius, and it's
everything you want from a Jared Leto film.
I was just in the background while I was drawing some
pouty lips, poutier eyes. Beautiful.
All right. To find out, let's turn our attention ahead.
What happens in Canada?
Also,
by the way, before that,
yes.
I do like this whole kind of tension that Storm feels towards.
So, what do you think it is?
So,
do you know what it is?
No. Does it come out later?
I right now don't remember.
So,
but I know what I want it to be.
Right. So, my initial thought, given its Storm's kind of instinct, and is that maybe Stevie's a mutant.
Okay, I think that's
and perhaps a villain. Like becomes right, like I don't think it's Mastermind again, which would be great. Jason Wingard,
right?
Damn it, he's so good. He's everywhere. So I have that. I mean, it's possible, and this is just the kind of like other mentor, maybe.
Sure.
Anyway, I don't know. What do you know, or what do you know?
Okay, I'll be totally honest. I don't know anything as to where this is going.
Okay.
Claremont is just really good at sowing seeds for the long game. And we witnessed it over the last 49 weeks or 48 weeks, whatever it is, to see how he laid the Dark Phoenix saga so far in advance, or parts of it. So when I see this, I'm like, oh, it's this other character, obviously, like you said, playing mentor over the most vulnerable member of the team. You know, maybe again the identities are exposed. Someone knows who she is, and I'm like, oh, it's the White Queen resurfacing. It's
right.
You know how she can project into people's mind that they see something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's Mystique or that kind of thing. Like I want it to be a real thing. I don't want it to just be a person being catty towards another person.
Of course.
And I have to admit, I'm flipping ahead right now to see if there are any signs. But
well, and the other thing that's great about this page in terms of the character of Kitty is that, you know, one of the jokes or one of the comments we've had throughout this run is they keep saying like, we're at Xavier's school for gifted youngsters. Like, you're all adults, but here is a kid, like is, 13-year-old, 14, whatever, how old she is. Right. But like, still acts Kitty, excited to use her powers, get in the car. Like, this team has been at a school for gifted youngsters for how many issues we've done this, and it's never felt like kids ever. But this is the first, at least during this run, we get, oh no, we're going to have a younger character, and it's going to be someone who's going to go through the school. And then of course, I guess Claremont then does New Mutants and things, but like, it's a really nice dynamic to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's neat. It's also neat to see like how many female characters he creates. Whole cloth, Kitty Pryde and Rogue, right?
Yeah.
Rogue's going to join down the road, not too long from now. She's going to join. Kind of cool.
Is Rogue a Claremont?
We're gonna have to do, man. The special episodes are gonna get out of control because there are gonna be so many. But there is an issue, Avengers Annual 10, if memory serves, is a Michael Golden drawn masterpiece, and it is, I believe, written by Chris Claremont. It's the Avengers versus like Freedom Force, which are a rebrand of the Brotherhood.
Oh, okay.
They are government sanctioned.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
But yeah, Rogue is a junior member of that team, and it doesn't go well for Carol Danvers, who, her career as Ms. Marvel ends in that issue.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
You remember how like Rogue was a flying character in the cartoon? She's a powerhouse.
Yes, she is, because
her
she absorbs Miss Marvel's powers, isn't she?
Yeah. And she also gets part of her personality too.
Oh, okay. All
right. So to find out, let's turn our attention ahead.
Pages to a
few hours and north 1,000 miles in any particular direction. Not really. From Salem Center to the shores of Hudson Bay,
which is a very small bay, by the way. That's the best thing
for itself. What were you going to say?
I say Hudson's Bay is so small. That's the best part, is that you would be able to localize this super easily because there's only one part of the bay.
It's massive.
Small. Man.
Chris is being cheeky. It's bigger than some countries.
Of course it is.
No joke.
No joke.
Yeah. And there we get this awesome, 2/3 splash.
Yeah.
Of Wendigo, managing Nightcrawler here. Awesome.
That looks great.
Wendigo.
Yikes, that's us too close for comfort. This beastie makes the Juggernaut look puny by comparison, which is, I think, my cue to let discretion prove the better of valor. And get the blazes out of here. Typical Wolverine decides to return to Canada to persuade the government to accept his resignation from their secret service and exposition times 1,000, and to make peace between the X-Men and his former colleagues in Alpha Flight, Canada's official superhero team. Wolverine asked me along to chaperone, to keep him out of trouble. An idiot as I am, I accept. So, of course, there's all eyes on Wolverine. The proverbial roof falls in on me. I'm not staying ahead of the monster on the ground. It's too risky to teleport unless I absolutely have to. Perhaps I'll have better luck in the treetops. He looks too bulky to climb after me. Wolverine and I found half of Alpha Flight, Vindicator, Shaman, and Snowbird, up here investigating a series of mysterious, horrible murders and disappearances. Wolverine identifies the quarry as a legendary woods beast named the Wendigo. From this Hulk's battle cry, he must be it. My tree, oh no!
Wendigo!
Grip like a vice, crushing me, claws cutting into me. Wendigo too strong, I can't break free. Only hope, focus, concentration, ignore pain. But it's so hard, I hurt so much, but I must.
Oh man, it's so much exposition.
So much exposition. And you know what? Like, I love, just that the shooter mandate. You got to explain the comic, or everyone's comic is their first comic, and so they use different characters to do that. And this is a great way where it's just 2 pages of the recap.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's very helpful though for anyone who misses it. Right? You can see the value in it.
Exactly.
It's just a burden.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Just a quick coloring note in the page on the right and the middle panel on the top.
Yeah,
you can see the different kinds of blacks.
Oh yeah,
in that shadowy Nightcrawler in the middle panel,
and
you can see like where the colorist cut out like the yellow for his eyes is like a full circle on the head. You see how
I can see it. Yeah.
And then like the blue that was with his hair, you can see after that ends. And you can see where they put no color down.
Yeah.
And then there's the coloring, the cutouts that were for the brown of the tree, which would have been, some red and some yellow.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit of blue. So there you can see the different things inside that black. Of course, in the version I'm reading, it's just flat black. But it's funny to think like, black isn't just black in printed 4-color comics.
Yeah.
And of course, David confirms, it was Claremont who wrote Avengers Annual 10, and so Rogue is his.
Okay.
And Rogue, of course, is not just his. It also, Michael Golden being the artist, he's the first one to render her, but it's based on notes from Claremont. And Claremont originally said that she's to look like Grace Jones.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, in sort of that powerful, feminine, but also simultaneously androgynous.
Okay.
And if you look at early pictures of Rogue, she is all those things. She's, powerful and feminine and androgynous in some of the ways she is rendered. But of course, the reference is a woman who is black, and the character came out white. So it's neat to think and she's supposed to be from Mississippi, which has a very, very sizable, black African American population.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wonder if that's a way you can reconceive that character for the movies, and if that's an interesting route, or is it just, And
then the X-Men cartoon version of Rogue with the bomber jacket. That's a Jim Lee design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the green and the yellow.
Yep. Yeah. Before that, she was wearing I guess they would call it the Outback X-Men, and she's wearing a series of black kind of unitard things with green elements over top, like a green tank and green punk belts, and green straps and green gloves, but it was a black under, like I said, unitard, and that was kind of her look for a really long, from the JRJR years through Silvestri and up to Jim Lee. But then Jim Lee gives her that uniform that is now.
So does Jim Lee redesign all of their uniforms?
No, he brings Wolverine. He brings Wolverine back to his
right.
Cockerman Byrne era suit.
Yeah. He
of course redesigns Cyclops to give him a Y strap, which I know it looks cool, but it makes no sense to me that you give an X-Man a Y strap.
Sure.
But getting rid of his cowl and giving him the hair sticking out and the visor, that looks great forever.
Yeah.
He redesigned Psylocke within the pages of the regular series before.
The purple ninja.
Yeah, well, he turns her into an Asian woman as well. She's Captain Britain's sister.
Right. And
they basically give her a new body. We'll get there in a long time. In a couple of years, we'll get there.
Sure.
And trying to think, Beast is not much of a redesign.
Right, he's already blue.
He increases his scale though. He bulks him up.
Yeah, they bulks him up.
Bishop is not him. I've showed you this before, haven't I?
Oh, you have. You showed us. What did you show me again? Something with Bishop. What was it?
An ad with
you showed it to me at Fan Expo. What was it?
It's Arnold from Different Strokes. Gary Coleman.
That's right.
In a little engineer's train engineer costume.
Yes.
And
the bandana.
Yeah, the bandana, but also the blue shirt with the yellow stripes.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. I want you just to keep reading for a second. I just want to go check to see if everything's okay with my dog because no one else is home. But one sec. So if you want to, I don't know, stall.
Stall. Okay, Chris, you're on. Quick. Okay, think of something real fast. Okay. Well, first I want to say, hey, evening to Jason Lowe. Gonna catch a rewatch tomorrow. Very cool. Catch it whenever you can catch it, buddy. We're just happy you stopped by to say hi. And we are doing awesome, and I hope you're doing awesome. I saw that you were also New York Comic Con. Hope you had a blast down there as well. Hey, if anyone wants to, ask me a question about anything, feel free to light up the chat. Don't know too much about much, but who knows?
You really don't.
Turns out you don't.
Jason Lowe says.
That's what I've already done.
Awesome. You're the
best.
I was
stalling. I did it. Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope you're well, Jason. And I can't wait to hear about your visit to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Very
Thank you for that. Everything is okay in my house. Olivia, my daughter's home, but My dog has been having some tummy issues, and I just didn't want to.
Not fun.
I didn't want to leave him alone without any kind of support. So anyway,
all right, here we go.
He ignores the pain, and a psychic switch closes. Did you read this? In Nightcrawler's mind, and with the traditional crack of flame of gusting stench of brimstone, he teleports out of Wendigo's grasp. I love this move of going from down low to up high.
Yeah, this is cool actually, and I love the teleporting to, like as he falls, he can teleport to safety.
Yeah, it's a neat move, right?
It is a neat move. He can appear and reappear and slow his trajectory. It's very cool.
And get a vantage point, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That feels so much better. I had to try a blind port. I don't know the lay of the land around here. A wrong move, even a slight miscalculation could have had me materializing inside a tree. At best, I'd have been crippled or maimed. At worst, very messily, agonizingly killed. It's a lovely thought. Aha! There's a clearing. It's a far piece from Wendigo, too. With luck, I'll have given him the slip. I should be able to get back to the cabin and warn the others.
Wendigo!
On the other hand, I can't run and it's too dark, too many trees to try another port. I have to fight. Oh boy. Wendigo has the edge, and what an edge in terms of raw strength, and his tracking skills seem as formidable as Wolverine's. In my favor, I have speed, agility, martial arts training. I'll hit and run and try to keep him confused and off balance. Oof! So much for that idea.
He takes off like a cannonball, consciousness quickly slipping away as the force of Wendigo's punch hurls him out of the forest toward the cabin, wherein we find Wolverine and 3 members of Alpha Flight engrossed in a council of war.
This is the section that Wendigo seems to have marked as his own territory.
Trevor, if Jason Lowe, he was at New York Comic Con, Artist Alley, I believe so. He was promoting his Marvel Unlimited work.
I saw some Comixology stuff on there too.
Oh, that's part of me.
He was posting all-nighter things and
and the trading cards.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Yeah, very cool. Too bad you didn't run into him. That would have been a fun meet. There you go. Next time, unfortunately. I love the image of Nightcrawler, moving through time.
Yeah, it's
through the panel, right? Like no other form can do this, where like no other medium allows you to have a character move through time, but also be still in time at the same moment. And it's up to the reader to like move him along. And I remember, when I first did this, and like I think it's issue 2 during the flashback. This is exactly what I was thinking of when I rendered it the way I did. It was like
the sack of Rome in the 16th century.
Yeah, it was because of this, specifically this panel.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's neat. And Wendigo is really, really big.
Wendigo is massive,
bigger than Juggernaut, he says.
Yeah, right.
With the action figures, they're not too far off, but there you go.
There you go.
Now, I understand it works with the plot, but I think Wolverine would have heard the fight.
Right.
That's just me. My Wolverine is maybe a little bit too savvy. He was too good at this. But I think he would have heard the ruckus in the woods, especially the knocking down those trees coming through and yelling Wendigo. Like, that's not... He would have smelt it and heard it.
He would have 100% smelt it.
I smell something, Mac. One of those.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Trouble a brewing. Smells like cannibal farts.
Smells like exactly when you eat a man and you fart him out.
Yeah. All right. You're going to read Mac and I get to read Wolverine, or do you want to do the opposite?
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay.
I'll do Mac, you do Wolverine. This is the section that Wendigo seems to have marked as his own territory.
Wait. Stop right there.
What?
How does he mark his territory?
Mark his territory? The stench of Wendigo urine is astonishingly large.
Sorry, go on.
It's okay. We'll probably find Mrs. Parnell and her baby somewhere in there, if we're lucky, if they're still alive.
I researched Wendy after the last time we tussled, Mac. That's Hulk 180 and 181. Wolverine's first 2 appearances. He prefers fresh-killed meat, which means he'll keep his captives alive for a while. That doesn't give us, or Mrs. Parnell, the best odds in the world, but it's better than nothing. I'll start hunting at first light, because I'm lazy and don't mind if people die.
Put my feet up.
I'm afraid of the dark. Come on, Wolverine. What the?
That sound.
Nightcrawler. He looks out cold, and he looks like he was worked over by a Mack truck. Immediately, at Wolverine's mental command, retractable, razor-keen adamantium claws pop out of the back of his hands, or the backs of his hands. They're forged in the strongest metal known to man, and are capable of cutting solid steel as easily as paper. Tonight, this shortest, feistiest X-Man is going to need them. Mac, I got the feeling that finding Wendigo has just become the least of our problems. Wendigo!
Good grief. He's hefting that pickup like it was a toy.
Oh my gosh.
Good grief.
Oh man.
Oh man. Fan out, people. I'll handle this. For months, I've been telling myself how good my battlesuit was. Now comes the acid test. Lord help me, I am scared. I never realized Wendigo would be so big.
Now this panel looks like it's reused to me.
The top one, the top sheet.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
We're going to get volume 1 over here. So from his first appearance in issue 109, there is a moment where Mac shoots a bolt across. It hits Colossus in the hand and bounces off. You throw a mean zap, lady.
Oh right. Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump in here. So take a look at that panel.
Yeah.
And then take a look at, where is it? That panel.
There it is. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, if not, I'm not saying it's traced, but it's the same idea. Like exactly the same idea. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
Totally cool.
And he doesn't block it with his hand. It looks like he blocks it just with his chest. But I think
it pings off his Moira, right?
Yeah.
Moira.
Poor Moira. Oh, don't want to get you all shined out here. It's gonna
Banshee from beyond
from our objective.
All right. So he says he'd be so big.
For all his unspoken fear, James McDonald Hudson, Vindicator, founder and leader of Alpha Flight, stands his ground without flinching and meets Wendigo's attack with his suit's built-in energy blasters like a superhero born.
It's kind of cool. It melts that truck.
Yeah, man.
That's cool, man. Splow!
But with surprising speed and even more surprising, almost human cunning, Wendigo grabs for a nearby fir tree and decides to indulge in some impromptu batting practice. Now, if Claremont had been more tokenistically Canadian,
right,
it would have referenced a slap shot or, a hockey cross check or something.
Body check? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, slashing. 2 minutes for slashing.
Right, it would be like in a move that would get Wendigo suspended for the game with a game misconduct. Right?
Worse than Dale Hunter on Pierre Turgeon.
In a move that Dale Hunter would appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wendigo! Reacting with the speed of thought, Snowbird, Corporal Anne Mackenzie, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Like, still we get the explanation of who everyone is, and
of course,
and their bit. Vindicator shapeshifts into a great Arctic owl and rushes to his aid. You'll be okay. Mac designed his battlesuit to protect him from my claws. Even a rough landing.
So that's go ahead. Sir.
Shouldn't do more to shake him up.
That's an interesting thing to say, because so we all, can maybe agree in canon that like Wolverine's claws are some of the deadliest weapons on Earth, can cut through anything, and he's saying right now that his battlesuit is designed to stop him.
Yeah, it has a electromagnetic field, same as like Magneto.
Okay, all right. So that's the okay.
It's not that the armor is strong; it's that there's a force field.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Wendigo's being considerate enough to come to us, Shaman. Let's finish our job right here and now.
You go after Wolverine. I'll follow when I can.
Huh?
The explosion of the truck's fuel has started a fire. These woods are tinder dry. If this blaze gets out of control, it'll be almost impossible to stop.
So saying, Shaman scatters a handful of sacred powder across the face of the fire, creating a wall of ice to smother it. And while he acts, he laughs inside at the irony of the situation. That he, Dr. Michael Youngman, who deliberately turned his back on his Sarsi heritage to become a physician to help his people by learning the white man's medicine, should now use the magical skills taught him by his shaman grandfather to help red and white men both.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
You and I both said oof at the exact same moment.
Oof. Jeez.
Wendigo, of course, is aware of none of this. He simply senses that it's time he made his exit. Yeah, right. This is just very much of its time, 1980. There is not thought and consideration put towards the various diversity within these two countries and the way people want to be referred to and respectful language. And yeah, it's before all of that. It doesn't age well.
No.
But it left an impression, like I remember all these things, and I remember as a kid recognizing that there were so many characters in this series from around the world, and there, particularly like this issue, there's a 13-year-old Jewish character, which was what I was when I was reading it, except I was real, and a bunch of Canadians, which I am and was. And it's kind of fun to think like, oh, these are characters I identify with in some ways. In some ways they are similar to me. In some ways they're different. But knowing that they weren't like talking about every element of like, they really harp on Shaman's heritage in just the kind of character he is and his power set. It's very much about his identity as a member of First Nations.
Yes.
And not about him as a person.
No, that's a classic trope of non-indigenous storytellers, and certainly in settler, talk about the mystical properties of right.
Yes.
Like
yes, it is hard to stomach sometimes, but as I often remind my family, like I'm still a product of the 20th century, and there are times where like it doesn't bother me, it doesn't irk me, because I'm raised in it, and even though I recognize intellectually that it's problematic, I can still digest this stuff without it like driving me insane, which is just like I said, because I'm a product of my time. But I definitely do welcome revisions and updates to the way we talk about other people and the way we talk about ourselves. Anyway,
for sure,
neat. I actually love his character. I read all of it. I read all the Alpha Flight issues with him, and he means a lot to me as a character, but I never really got enough. Like it really was a lot of it staying tokenistic, But I do love him anyway. You just think like how impressionable people can be, and how much normalizing you can make of different kinds of people by giving authentic portrayals of individuals and not just superficial and tokenistic portrayals.
Exactly.
Yeah, leaves a mark. Okay. Wendigo makes his exit. My goodness.
He does.
Vindicator. Jamie, are you?
I'm fine, Snowbird. The only thing hurt was my pride. Take Wolverine and follow the Wendigo. Shaman and I will be along as soon as we extinguish the fire.
I feel like that's also a Claremontism. The only thing hurt was my pride.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like he's probably said that or written that a lot.
I think you might be right there. Yeah.
That sucker ain't as dumb as he looks. Or as he used to be. In the old days, Wendigo would generally leave a Hulk-sized trail behind him. Now he's moving through a forest like he was part of it. And he's doing a pretty good job covering his tracks. Wolverine, I can see nothing from the air. Ain't surprising. The woods hereabouts are as thick as they can get. And there are lots of gullies and ravines for Wendy to hide in. We're going to have to do this the hard way, on foot, and one step at a time. Wolverine, I do not like you much, thanks. But I cannot deny that you are a good leader. Why did you resign from Department Department H? I got a better offer. Do you pronounce this unbidden?
It's got to be.
I've never used that or heard that word before.
It's a Claremontism.
Yeah. Unbidden. His mind flashes back across the years, remembering how James and Heather Hudson found him near their home in the Canadian Rockies, sick, frozen, starving, as near death as a body could be. They nursed him back to health, accepted him, loved him, together in one bed.
That's right.
He loved
Kept
him
you warm.
David Cutler says, "Oh yeah, Claremont really abuses the hurt pride line for sure."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So just to put this in like the Wolverine timeline,
Mm-hmm.
I have always interpreted this, and then interpreted subsequent stories about him as like the Weapon X origin tale of like how he gets his claws happens just before this.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
That was
they
my
find him in
understanding
the
of it.
woods after he wanders off into the woods in
Right.
the end of Weapon X.
At the end of Weapon X.
He stays there for an indeterminate amount of time, and to the point where he's like, frozen and all things they say, and then they find him and nurse him back.
Exactly.
And I guess you could tell that story anyway. You could put as many chapters in between those two pieces as you wanted to. Yeah, neat.
Mm-hmm.
But still, there were strains. You don't understand, Mac. You've never understood. I've always been a dangerous man, scrapping second nature to me. But these claws, this flaming adamantium skeleton I got, change everything. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as a fair fight anymore. I'm virtually indestructible, Mac. I've been turned into a killing machine, and I don't like it.
Logan. That's what Heather sounds like.
Good thing she spoke up.
Yeah.
I also like this like younger version of Wolverine, the way he looks.
Yeah.
It's neat.
It is. Like shorter hair and yeah.
And is he supposed to be wearing he's wearing a tie?
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be a uniform or something?
Maybe. We found you a job at the post office, and this is how you repay us?
You're going to be working alongside your American counterpart.
That's right.
Raven. To the Canadian Secret Service, he was a gift from heaven. They turned him loose on all the dirty, brutal, necessary assignments no one else would touch. And he never forgave them for that. Sorry, he never forgave them for what they did to him. And then made him do. And when Charles Xavier offered him a way out, he took it. I want to read that book.
Right.
I want to read him as a
Secret Service book?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
years of it.
Yeah.
And of course there are issues here and there where things pop up, but
We should pitch it. We should pitch it.
oh, I'm sure it's been done. I'm sure people have written enough chapters where like that
Right.
stuff has all been filled in. But I would also want to do it in the sliding time scale where it's set before 1975. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of the 60s kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
missions
like-
around that time.
Heck, you could do like FLQ Crisis. You could do a whole
Sure.
bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd be into that.
Yeah. This thing writes itself.
For sure. He took it without a second thought or a regret. Do you want to read Snowbird now?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you sure the Parnells are still alive?
Princess, the one thing I learned early in life was to tell the difference between the smell of a live body and a dead one. Yikes.
Wow. Early in life, you learned that?
Yeah.
Jesus,
Wow. Mama Parnell is scared stiff, but she and her baby are both breathing.
You see that baby waver his hand, like from the cover, still waving.
You bring Mac and the others. Pronto. I'll maintain surveillance.
Why should I go?
Because I can't fly, dummy. Speed is what's important now. Now scoot.
Now booty scoop.
Uh-oh. Wendy. I love calling him Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy's acting hungry, and I have a hunch he's in the mood for something more substantial than dried up old bones, like maybe burrito, maybe some protein,
Exactly.
maybe
a butter tart.
Popeye's chicken. Butter tart. This is a whole issue of him just listing food. David says, I like the idea of Trudeau, meaning Trudeau the Elder, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, sending a killing machine like Wolverine into Quebec during martial law. Yeah, it's hilarious and uncomfortable. Yeah,
just watch me. That's what it comes, right? What are you going to do? Just watch me. It's this. There's your cue.
Yeah.
When he says it on national television, little do we know that he unleashes Wolverine.
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy. The boulder blocking the small cave weighs a couple tons, yet Wendigo rolls it aside with ridiculous ease to reveal the reinforcements ain't gonna arrive in time. If Mrs. Parnell's gonna be rescued, I'll have to do the job myself. And that suits me fine. I've been aching for a rematch with the Wendigo. It looks like this is it.
No! As he's about to tear her leg off.
Yes, he's about to take a bite and eat that one leg.
100% eat her leg.
Anthony says, I would read a group of 7%, Wolverine in Canada, the Canadian Club years. Very nice. Thank you, Anthony. I would love to do that. By the way, everyone out there, and this is to you, Chris, we could always do the thing we're talking about and just not have it called Wolverine, right? You just have a character that is an analog for Wolverine.
Feisty, hairy, short man.
Did you just make a pee? Did you laugh so much?
Pour myself a tinkle? No, I'm pouring myself a cup of tea.
Nice. No, I like the idea of the analogs and whatnot. I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, there's I know exactly the title to put that in as well. There you go.
These are our fan comics that we only sell at shows.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Now moving on to this amazing action page. Yeah. I'm just going to note the very unusual for John Byrne to do a 4-panel page. This is totally a throwback to like a Jack Kirby action page. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it's all about the intensity. There really, if there were no dialogue at all and no narration, it would totally work. You just get these 4 huge, except for that the bottom left where it's.
Does he drive his head into? Is that what he's doing?
He's like driving the back of his head in between Wendigo's legs.
He's going straight for. Headbutting his junk.
He's headbutting his junk. It's bizarre, but one of the many elements I love about it, that the panels are not even, that they're like askew.
Yes,
it just creates a nice design. But the thing that stands out to me in this version is the color differences.
The colors,
like let's just do these 4 colors. Let's have fun with it. Let make them all dramatic. They're going to they're each neat in their own way, and it looks really good when they're all together. You wouldn't think like the green and then the magenta, like that it would work like that, but it's fantastic.
Totally.
Trevor says, Wolverine. With the power of a bull.
Those are weird looking, man.
Yes, definitely. They're also tiny.
Very today.
But that's cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
Now in this first panel where he's attacking, Wendigo does not look as big against Wolverine.
Wolverine is. Yeah. But then,
it's maybe not to scale in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Does Wendigo have like full anatomy? Like, do you think he's naked? Like, because
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I think so too.
Yeah.
Remember me, bub? Wolverine's the name. Mayhem's the game. He feels a berserker rage build within him. And this time, he doesn't even try to deny it. He becomes fury personified, a grim, unstoppable engine of destruction. The pace is inhuman. The equivalent of days of non-stop combat compressed into a matter of minutes. And through it all, Wolverine denies pain, denies fatigue, denies everything but the will to win. Wendy's real and I've got him on the ropes. I'll settle for that, as if I really had a choice. And I love this last panel. This is totally a Kirby panel too. But just like the highlight around Wolverine.
Yeah.
And that pose, I feel like it's just such a timeless panel.
It is. And it's so brutal too. He's plunged his claws into some part of Wendigo.
His butt.
Into his butt.
It's the two hands.
Two hands.
He's
two hands.
I'll stop.
All right.
Any other foe would have been smashed to a pulp or cut into shish kebab by now. But Wendigo's the next best thing to invulnerable. I can hurt him temporarily and stun him, but no more than that. No matter how hard I try. And I'm trying real hard.
That's great.
Ooh.
That's great.
Ooh, I'm lightheaded. I feel dizzy. He's down and out. Finally, my adrenaline surge, my patented berserker rage, is fading fast. Been a long time since I felt this pooped. Can't fold, though. Not till I get the lady and her kid out of harm's way. Mrs. Parnell, name's Wolverine. Pummeling Wendigo's game. Be cool.
Be cool. I'm not a narc.
Good guys.
You're a narc.
I'm pooped. Be cool. Can you travel? The sooner we get away from here, the better. I can't guarantee how long Shaggy will stay in Slumberland. She's like, who's Shaggy now? What?
What? All he said, his name was Wendigo. That's all he would say. I can walk.
That's a start. We'll pick up speed as we go along, as you get your strength back.
My husband, Joe, I heard him scream. I saw. It was horrible. And my boy, Tommy?
Tommy's fine. He's in the hospital.
Thank God.
That's only part of the truth. But how do I tell her that the boy's in catatonic shock? Almost a kind of living death. The shadow! Wham! Of all the dumb mistakes, I dropped my guard. Wendy has edge. All I can do is ride things out. Wendigo! And hope for the best. Oh my God. Overuse of the Wendy gag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then this panel of Wendigo smashing Wolverine, like his head into the ground.
Yeah.
This was on Wendigo's Marvel Universe, the official handbook.
Oh, was it?
Okay. Profile. Like, this is one of the pics that was there.
Gotcha.
It's just like, what a huge, like, just playing with a toy, right? Like a rag doll.
Exactly.
Hope, as the saying goes, springs eternal. Wolverine's unbreakable adamantium skeleton saves him from instant death. But even so, he endures a frightening amount of punishment at Wendigo's hands. That hurt. Gotta make some kind of move. Can't take much more of this.
Take heart, my kind friend. The cavalry has arrived. And in the proverbial nick of time, too. Wolverine looks in a bad way.
Nightcrawler teleports to the attack and...
Yeah, monster, this for pounding you gave me earlier tonight. Haha, nice try, Wendigo, but no Cupid doll.
What's a Cupid doll?
I'm going to say it's a German toy.
Are you making that up? You're just guessing?
I'm guessing. But
Okay, that's cool.
I'm going to say you win it at a fair.
A Cupid doll. I've learned the hard way how fast you moved. You have to do a lot better than to catch me now. Vindicator.
No need to panic, Nightcrawler. I'm here, just as we worked out.
Panic? No. Worry? Well, maybe. It's one thing to talk through a maneuver like this. It's something else again to do it for real.
I like the idea that they're also like talking and have a plan of how to attack this guy. Another example of a reuse, Byrne will reuse this pose as a double splash page in Alpha Flight issue 12.
Oh, okay.
There's like a fold out moment where they reveal Vindicator, then called Guardian, fighting all of Omega Flight in New York City in the issue where he dies. Anyway, but it's this pose. Anyway, that's cool.
Pretty
cool.
I was afraid of this. We're staggering Wendigo, but no more than that. The enchantment that created him protects him from the full force of our powers. He's too strong. My magic can't even bind him, much less cure him while he's conscious.
Physical force can overwhelm him. The Hulk and Wolverine prove that.
Wolverine's out cold, Snowbird, and the Hulk isn't available.
True. But perhaps I can shape change into the next best thing. There is a great danger in this. I assume the persona of whatever creature I become. If I am consumed by bloodlust, or just regular lust, I could become as terrible a threat to my friends as Wendigo himself. But I can see no alternative. The risk must be taken. Oh, Hodiak, spirit of the Northern Lights, grandfather, help me, give me strength. With that impassioned prayer, the form of this child of the ice and snow begins to melt and flow like mercury, transforming a being who appears human, but who, in truth, is not. From an exotically beautiful young woman into a white Wolverine.
Ooh.
What? Now, a Wolverine is still only as strong as a Wolverine.
Yes.
But cool. But maybe she's a magic Wolverine.
Maybe. I mean, I was thinking like polar bear, but that's cool.
But I think Wendigo could beat up a polar bear.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think, anyway. Gram for gram, it is said that no animal on Earth matches a Wolverine's ferocity or indomitable will. Logan, the X-Men Wolverine, is the closest avatar to this small, incredibly deadly woods beast. Is it the second time they used the phrase woods beast this issue?
Could be.
I've never. Anyway,
Nightcrawler says it earlier.
Right, woods beast.
Woods beast.
But Snowbird has become the real thing, and between the two of them, there is no comparison. A Wendigo is stronger than a Wolverine.
Right.
I'm all cool if she's a mystical Wolverine.
Right.
And a giant one at that. But it's anyway. Like if we have a whole wilderness full of these animals that are more fierce than Wendigo, we're all dead, dude.
Right.
What follows is not so much a battle as a clash of primal forces, a duel of fang and claw, muscle and sinew. It is not pretty. And it is something that all present will never forget. Anne, what have you done? When it is over, Wendigo lies unconscious, the darkling spell that created him already healing his fearsome wounds. In a matter of hours, he will be as good as new, but by then, Shaman will have had a chance to cast his counterspell. He steps forward, only to freeze in his tracks as the Snowbird, Wolverine, bares her teeth and warns him away from her prey.
She's still a Wolverine, the animal,
The animal persona must have taken over. My changeling spell will work as well on Snowbird as on Wendigo.
No, she'll fight you physically and psychically. You could be left so wasted you won't be able to help Wendigo. And then all this pain and grief will be for nothing. Leave Annie to me. No violence, no fear. I've got to reach Annie with words and emotions. I should sing her a song. Just like when Scott reached Jean Grey when she'd been consumed by Dark Phoenix in issue 136.
Ooh.
I ain't good at talking. Every instinct in me wants to fight her or give her a big, wet, bloody smooch to prove my own strength and superiority by smashing her into submission. But that's the wrong way. I can't. I won't do that. Annie, it's Logan. Hear me, princess. Listen to me. Remember who you are, what you were.
He isn't aware of how long he talks. Oh, we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Or indeed of precisely what he says. In a sense, he bears his soul to her, reaching out with as wild and free a passion as her own. And then, with a blood-curdling scream, the snowbird Wolverine responds.
Logan, Logan, thank you. Hush, darling, hush. I know how you feel. You'll be okay now, though. You've gone through the valley, faced the worst parts of yourself, and triumphed. It'll never be as rough again.
They move apart from the others, their words as private as the emotions they struggled to express. They take off their clothes and become one.
Jeez, guys.
We're right here. Who would have thought she'd be as hairy as he was? Okay. For them, in that brief space of time, the world has changed, and neither of them is quite sure how to deal with it. What the hell is he talking about? Now, though, the focus shifts to Shaman. He spends the rest of the night preparing himself for the ordeal to come. By dawn, he is ready. Okay, there's a lot of exposition here.
Yes,
he casts a spell.
Cast a spell.
There you go.
It is done.
Well done, my friend. Rest now, Michael. You have earned it.
Georges Baptiste.
Yes? Am I truly free of my curse? Is my nightmare at last ended?
I'm afraid not. You're under arrest.
What?
I know arresting Baptiste sounds cruel and heartless, but I had no choice. He gave Wendigo of his own free will. Under Canadian law, that renders him culpable for any crimes he committed as Wendigo. The court shouldn't be too hard on him, though. His acts were those of an insane man. His memories of what he did are far worse punishment than a lifetime stretch in prison. Thanks for your help, Logan. We couldn't have stopped him without you. I'll speak to the minister about your resignation. There'll be no more hassles of you or the X-Men. And now that you're a free man, come visit me and Heather more often. We're your friends, Logan. We care about you. We miss you.
I know, Mac, and I will.
That ship is really crazy looking.
It is. And there's a dude back there. See? By Georges Baptiste?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like a Department H guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's remember those dudes that were piloting the craft when they're dropping off Weapon Alpha in 2109?
Oh yeah, I guess that's
those like Death Star.
Death Star helmet guys.
Death Star Squad Commander, Death Squad Commander. Yeah. Will I see Wolverine again? Who can say? Do I wish to? Yes.
Yes.
And we thought there were going to be a thing with her and Nightcrawler.
Yeah, well, that's what he was like. I really want to see that Aurora again. Yeah. And this ship appears particularly phallic in that.
Yeah, it's weird.
The way it
is a weird one for sure.
Looking at Georges Baptiste, my friend, I can't help thinking, but there, for the grace of God, goes you.
How so?
Baptiste has Wendigo killed. Now he must pay the price. And you, Wolverine, you should not pay a price as well.
Kurt, in my life, I've been two things: a wartime soldier and a secret agent. As one, like government, paid me to kill. As the other, they licensed me to kill. I was very good at both jobs. They liked that. And I got the medals and combinations to prove it.
Perhaps,
And
but
I ain't finished yet, bub. A man comes at me with his fists, I'll meet him with fists. But if he pulls a gun or threatens people I'm protecting, then I got no sympathy for him. He made his choice. He'll have to live or die with it. I never use my claws on someone who didn't, or who hadn't tried to kill me first. I call that self-defense.
I understand, Logan. What you say is reasonable, logical, justifiable. But does that make it right?
Wolverine does not reply. And for a long while, there is silence between the two men. Oof.
Oof.
And here you go. Look at that.
Yeah, back in Ottawa.
Looks familiar, huh?
Mm-hmm. Is that what you modeled for the issue?
No. I should have really. I didn't understand about tracing, and I really should have just taken a photograph.
There's also like a ton of buildings both to the left and right of that.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
I don't know. But anyway, no, I didn't use this as a reference. I forgot that it was here.
Mm-hmm.
And the few times he does speak during their leisurely meander, a vacation by any other name, home. What? Sorry, I'm reading this weird. And the few times he does speak during their leisurely meander, a vacation by any other name, home, his tone is thoughtful. Nightcrawler's words, his final question, struck deep. Now, like it or not, for better or for worse, Wolverine must deal with them. Meanwhile, in the Parliament building in Ottawa...
You wanted to see me, Prime Minister?
Can we skip? Or do you, I
No,
read this. And
You don't want to do the Pierre Trudeau? We can skip.
It's just that the financing is done. They don't have any more money for Alpha Flight.
Yeah, this is the end of this particular chapter in the Department H history and the start of something else.
Right. So they're going to keep their credentials and their access, and they're going to stay on as RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Auxiliaries, but they're not going to be on salary and have their own department anymore.
That's right.
Yeah. And so this is going to, obviously, it sets up the comic book. 1983. This is still December of 1980. But there you go. It's a lot to read for very little payoff. And then at the end, we have this another shift all the way to New Mexico to a federal maximum X security penitentiary. And a prison that looks like escape proof. But, a guy named Harv, his lady lawyer visited him. Ooh, that does not age well.
No.
A lady lawyer, is it called a lawyer? And the cell collapsed on itself. How did that happen? The very earth, the stone earth, collapsed on itself. And out comes a figure called Fred J. Dukes.
Okay.
And then he whoops something about the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah.
Whoa, we don't see his face, but who is Fred J. Dukes?
No.
Put up your Dukes. Frank Dukes.
I mean, as I put it into the Google machines, that's who I thought it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to. I know who it is, but
I mean, I thought it's who I thought it was. I just didn't know.
Yeah, and the cell falling in on itself, that means something too.
Right. So am I going to make? So this is the blob.
They say it isn't like any earthquake.
Right.
Oh, what could do that?
So
Anyway.
it's avalanche.
Oh, is it avalanche? I think it is. I think that's how I'm reading it.
Nice.
So the next issue is Days of Future Past, Part 1.
Right.
And now we're into a crazy territory where it's not only an animated adaptation, but also a full-on film adaptation of this storyline coming up.
Wow.
So maybe, as homework, everyone out there needs to go watch the X-Men animated series again, and Days of Future Past, the fifth X-Men film, if we're not counting Wolverine movies.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I know that one well.
Mhm.
Thankfully. Anthony says, this feels like the first X-Men issue where Claremont Byrne has given Wolverine a bit more nuance and not just have him completely stuck in berserk mode. Yeah, we've been seeing that kind of coming on bit by bit. There've been hints of it, and then the last two issues for sure have been heavy in the Wolverine side of things. Anthony, I agree with you, and I think we've been positing that that's because of Byrne's involvement in the story. Like that's his interest is in Wolverine, where Claremont originally was not that interested in Wolverine. But one could argue Claremont writes one of the most definitive Wolverine 4-part stories of all time, the Wolverine Limited series, right? Along with Frank Miller. And Miller also famously did not want to do that series. They were on the car ride, famously, I think, from LA to San Diego Comic-Con, or back from San Diego to LA. And they had a little chat, and Claremont wanted to do, I think he was assigned to do this Wolverine series, and wanted to play around with Miller, get him working on it with him. And Miller thought that Wolverine was just going to be also like a rage berserker dude. He's like, no, there's more to it. And they figured out that whole shamed samurai angle, a failed samurai. You know, like the Ronin who can't even kill himself to get his honor back.
Yeah.
Neat.
Super cool, man.
There you go.
Super cool.
So that gives us Uncanny X-Men 140.
Wow.
Finished, done. Beautiful book.
That's a fun two-parter.
Yeah, nice to see our old friends in Alpha Flight again. It took a whole team to fight Wendigo, but in the end, it was just a small Wolverine animal. Now there is a Marvel Legends Wendigo, and there is a Marvel Legends Wolverine.
Yeah,
like a little animal, like, as one of the alternatives that Snowbird could transform into. Yeah, there's a little Wolverine. And there's no way that one can beat the other one. It just isn't. I should have brought it up. It's in my room downstairs. So
yeah. Is that part of that pack?
Yeah,
the large.
I mean, if memory serves, there's an owl and a little Wolverine.
Adorable.
Yeah. That's it, dude. That's it for this week. You can find us this weekend. What? At the Mississauga Comic Expo in the Living Arts Center in Mississauga, Ontario.
Yeah.
Which is a suburb of Toronto. A city unto itself, really. We'll be selling all 5 of these volumes, including the trade paperback, Group of 7 Most Secret Tale, 4 issues of Peregrine's comics, full of fun and adventure. And the newest issue 8 of our Group of 7 comics, featuring the Peregrines. That'll be there. Some prints. So I'll be sketching for some people. Talking it up with you, Chris.
Talking up. That's this Sunday, October 16th.
October 16th. Yeah. Wow.
Check it out online. MCX Comics is, I believe, the handle. So.
And then on the 29th, we'll be at Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles, and also Mississauga, for their Halloween Indie Fest.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Free comics.
And then in November 19th?
I believe it's November 19th, yeah.
We'll be at the Whitby Comic Arts Festival in Whitby, Ontario, another suburb of Toronto, to the east this time.
Yes.
Gotta mix it up.
We love our library shows. Go to your local library, partake in their programming. There's often some really cool stuff going on.
Do you want to do the socials?
Sure. Acronym 7 Comics, the number 7. That's us in Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, MySpace. That's a fun little joke for everyone out there who understands what that is.
Other than that, we'll see you next week with another episode of Previously in X-Men. And until then, we hope you are feeling excellent and have a wonderful week. Enjoy the start to the new hockey season for the NHL, and look after each other.
Yeah, and catch season finale of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law tomorrow. No, Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow's Andor.
Tomorrow's Andor. Thursday.
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to it.
All right, then. Good night, everybody. Hope you're well. See you next time. Thank you for joining us.